The President of Israel met with the Prime Minister in Downing Street yesterday, where the pair reportedly argued over UK plans to recognise a Palestinian state and concern over the humanitarian situation in Gaza. Well, the meeting came after Israel carried out airstrikes against senior Hamas leaders in Qatar, which Keir Starmer condemned. I'm delighted to say I'm joined in the studio by President Isaac Herzog. Now, welcome to the show, Mr. President.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Likewise. May I ask you about the so-called argument you had with Keir Starmer? What was it about?
So I would say that that the two issues you mentioned are the issues that are thorny in terms of the dialogue we have with the British government. I mean, we had a productive meeting. It's a meeting between allies who can argue. But the two main questions that arise is, one, is the intention of the British government to recognize unilaterally a Palestinian state, something which we feel will be adverse to any efforts of reaching amicable peace in the Middle East, won't help one Palestinian and won't help one hostage to come out. Because the way we see the situation is that Hamas, which is holding the Israeli hostages down under in Gaza for almost 2 years, and leading a jihadist campaign throughout the region, Hamas feels that they may have the upper hand if Britain or other countries declare also a symbolic recognition of a Palestinian state. And the other issue is we reject totally the notion that there is any famine right now in Gaza. On the contrary, in the last 2 months, Israel has overhauled and changed all its policy. Gaza is open and there's a huge amount of food being supplied in, with a sharp reduction of the cost of produce and food and all other necessary needs in Gaza.
Well, we are seeing images, aren't we, of starving children in Gaza, and that's being used to criticise your country. When you arrived there in number 10, it looked like, well, there was no red carpet for you, but there was for the Palestinian leader, Mahmoud Abbas, 2 days earlier. Why do you think that was?
Well, I didn't check if there was a red carpet or not. I've been in 10 Downing many times. It was actually raining. But I would say that we are allies. And the problem is the enormous distortion by certain media outlets and commentators. We are allies. Yeah. Israel and the United Kingdom are allies on so many frontiers. We, Israel, are defending Europe, defending the world, the free world, as we are doing it with our sons and daughters fighting and changing the reality in Lebanon, in Syria, in Yemen, in Iran, and of course in Gaza, which is a painful, complicated terrain of battle. Because in people's homes there are missiles of the worst kinds and other equipment, and everything is booby-trapped up to the neck. And that is why it's a complicated terrain of battle. Right now, there's no hunger and no famine in Gaza.
But those pictures, you deny that that's it?
No, so what I'm saying is that before 2 months ago, there was a period where we wanted to take out the control of Hamas controlling the food. Because they use the food as a tool to coerce their opinion on the people of Gaza, 80% of whom want them out. And they're interviewed in Israeli TV every night, and I wish GB would also bring some of those interviews to show how much they're suffering from Hamas. So we proposed a new scheme whereby the food will be supplied directly to people directly, and Hamas nixed it. And that's what led to a shortage of food. I understand it, I admit it, and I say, but that was not intentional in any way, and that's why Israel overhauled completely its policy.
Have you had a random call lately from a strange number, maybe trying to sell you something or even scam you? If so, your info could be out there. That's because of data brokers, shady companies that scrape the internet for your personal details and sell them to marketers or even scammers. These days, scammers can even use AI to mimic your friends' voices and trick you into sending money. It's not just annoying. Data brokers often target vulnerable people with high-interest loans or sketchy offers. But there is a solution. Incogni, the sponsor of this video. Incogni contacts data brokers on your behalf and requests your info be deleted from their databases. And because your data can keep popping up, Incogni keeps sending removal requests to make sure it stays gone. They've just launched a new unlimited plan with custom removals. If you find your info on a weird website, just send them the link and their privacy team will work to get it taken down. Getting started is easy. Hit the link in the description, create your account and let Incogni handle the rest. It's risk-free for 30 days and you'll get 60% off an annual plan with the code GBNews. Take back control of your data with Incogni.
And Mr. President, we have indeed had relatives of those who were kidnapped by Hamas in the studio here before, so we very much have told that side of the story. May I ask you, you say
they're
that
going through hell. They're going clearly through hell, and we're very worried.
Yes. May I ask you about, you mentioned that the United Kingdom is an ally. Is it? And the reason I ask that is that there was hostility yesterday at Prime Minister's Question Time. There was an SNP Member of Parliament who compared you to Vladimir Putin, saying why would Sir Keir Starmer roll out the red carpet, although they didn't, to you, would they bring in Vladimir Putin? And our former Home Foreign Secretary, David Lammy, who is now our Deputy Prime Minister, has been pretty hostile towards Israel. Do you think a lot of people, maybe including yourself, think that the United Kingdom government, as it stands, seems to be siding with Palestine?
So there is a major argument in Israel where people are becoming very, I would say, pressurized by, or I would say nervous, seeing the opinions and the way the British government is leading this discourse by blaming Israel constantly without understanding the moral clarity that is necessary, because we are fighting Hamas, which is a jihadist terror organization of the worst kind. So Prime Minister Starmer made a statement about it with me, and also made a statement about the fight with Iran and its nuclear program. We respect that. But to blame Israel because, in my mind, it serves certain political narratives on the left, is a huge mistake, because in the end, when you judge it closely and clearly, when you judge the situation, you understand that what we are doing is protecting the national security interests of Great Britain as well. And that is why we insist that our position is clear. We know when we make mistakes. We know how to admit them, but really, truly, there must be an open and frank dialogue on this issue and not a blame game, blaming Israel all the time.
This government shortly, it looks like, about to recognise the state of Palestine. Should they? And also in Parliament, MPs say that you're committing genocide in Gaza. What do you say to them?
That both allegations or steps are absolutely wrong and unacceptable. First and foremost, we are operating according to international law when we go in to defend ourselves from missiles in people's homes, mosques, shops, tunnels, living rooms, what's not. That's what we find in Gaza, a horrendous situation of a huge terror machine that was built down under throughout the years. And second, I reject, and I say it on behalf of the position of Israel, we reject the idea of a unilateral declaration of recognizing a Palestinian state because it's dangerous, it will flare up emotions, it won't bring out any hostage, and we won't help any Palestinian. On the contrary, I demand from world leaders, including the British government, to stand firm together and say to Hamas, we won't talk to any Palestinian, any one of you, until you release the hostages. They'll see that it may work better.
Mr. President, I have a quick question for you, if we could. Do you think that not only Keir Starmer, President Macron and other world leaders are rewarding terrorism if they go for a two-state solution?
So I said time and time again that it will be perceived as a reward to terror, and I also said that it's impossible that people would think that because we have an argument on positions between friendly governments, you are kind of punishing us on this by this step. We think it's not the right step, and we should move forward. We should move forward on regional peace. We should move forward on a dialogue with our Palestinian neighbors. But that's after the hostages are out, the war is over, and Hamas is removed.
OK, thank you very much for joining us today on GB News.
It was a great pleasure.
Visiting us here in the studio. Thanks for your trip to the UK. President Isaac Herzog, pleasure to have your company. And thank you to you, Chris Hope.